Hey, what are you? My desk.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Trucker's Delight. We are going to be talking about Enterprise, and we're going to decide, is it worth it? Is it not? Has it stood up over time? William informs me it's been 21 years. I refuse to believe it. Just not gonna believe it. Because I'm not that old yet, and William's still in diapers. So that's what we got. If you are watching, I'd love it if you would shoot us questions, because we're going to be looking at the entirety of the series. Here we have our panel. So it's going to be me, Marie Brownhill, William Wofford, and Keith, who is joining us for his second show. Welcome him back, guys. All right. So I'm going to say it's time to roll that beautiful bean footage.
Absolutely. And here we go.
All right.
I'm just now reading your message, by the way.
Yeah, no, that was in fact not. I will cop to that, everybody. I legitimately refer to that as not my best showing for an intro, but hey, it is what it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, as I said, we're going to be talking about Enterprise, and we're talking about the entirety of the series. So we're not actually going to do like a traditional plot summary, other than to say Enterprise was conceptualized as a prequel for TOS. So it's literally the NX-01 Enterprise with the first warp. What is it? Warp 5? Warp 7? Oh, come on.
Warp 5.
Look, this is the only Enterprise photo we have right now. Like, okay, like we have to, that we love you, Robin. Okay,
I mean, wherever you are in the afterlife.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
But yeah, so it's basically the misadventures of Captain Archer and his crew in space, and ultimately culminates in what I think is actually the best story arc, which is the Xindi War. And then we get the world's worst series finale ever.
Time.
Agreed.
Yeah, no, like, I mean, it's far worse than Quantum Leaps, and he was never heard from again. It's far worse than Alf going off to get like vivisected. No. Yeah. These are the voyages. The worst.
Oh, God.
So, do you want to take it season by season?
I guess we can, because I pretty much remember all of season 1 and all of season 4.
You're like, season 2 existed.
It's like it was there. They were lost. They had a Voyager moment. They got lost in the Alpha Quadrant, and then one day someone put a 9/11 hole in the middle of Florida. And
yeah, that's moving into season. That's moving into seasons 3 and 4.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like,
but really, I mean, would we actually miss that largest swath of Florida?
I mean, they filled it back up by the 24th century. So, I mean,
Florida has a way of doing that, unfortunately.
I mean, they did, because you could see it in First Contact clear as day before the Borg temporarily assimilated Earth that Florida looked just fine, even though they didn't conceptualize the movie until 10 years later. But that's beside the point. But
we're gonna ignore that part, yeah.
Oh God. Okay, so Marie is trying to make me, even though I'm gonna do my best because I feel like she's gonna throw a technological cyber wrench at me. I cannot bring up age or years in at all. I can say that Enterprise was aired in this 21st century. Like, It was
Yep.
the dawn of the new millennium, and they tried to make it that one show like, oh, we're moving to the future, but we're going to talk about the past and see. What I liked about Enterprise, that I feel like the other shows,
One of the things I love about you is that just like the endless stream of consciousness.
it's
Like,
just a new thought started, and it's like, where do I go? And so, okay, I'll just say this one thing. I swear to God. So this one thing. Well, anyway,
I've heard that
what-
before.
I know, right? So what I like about Enterprise so much is that it actually did a very good job at making the technology that they had on the ship look older than TOS, but in a modern way. And I liked that. I liked that very much. Even when, in many ways, I personally feel like Enterprise honored TOS just as much as Deep Space Nine did. Especially with the episodes where you actually boarded the ship and they retained the TOS look down to the T.
Didn't they actually go and film at James Cawley's set that he rebuilt?
Well, he rebuilt something. I don't know.
Oh no.
Ticonderoga.
Like that dude apparently up in Ticonderoga has the bridge if you want
Yeah,
to see it.
I've been there. It's beautiful.
Really?
I will also tell you that he's nuts.
Well, I mean, you can't be a Trek fan and not be nuts.
Well, he's building the Enterprise D set now, so it's
So is
definitely
that-
driving him insane.
Well, this is not to say that it's not one of my life's goals to end up at this Ticonderoga area. Like, not gonna lie.
Oh yeah. Like, who wouldn't want a bridge of the Enterprise in their house? Like,
Well, it's not in his house. It's a storefront on the main street of Ticonderoga, New York.
Yeah.
oh, for real?
Mhm. I mean, it originally I think started in his basement, and then like when he was collecting all of the props and such. Because like my understanding is that a significant amount of what he's got is actually original
Right.
and was show used. And also, I have no idea how this ended up. Like how we got here from season one of Enterprise.
I just
but what
wanna
else
know-
is new?
I just want to know if it's legal for me to build the bridge of the Enterprise in my house when I get a house. That's all I
Yeah.
want to know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is.
Why wouldn't it
Like, because it's like I want to.
be? It's inside your house. It's not an
It's in my
attractive
house.
nuisance.
Yeah, I mean, it may cost me $100,000, but like, I want the bridge of the Enterprise in my house.
I mean, you realize that's going to get you on like one of those things that we see that crosses Facebook of like crazy houses, like the
Oh,
house
yeah.
that they were selling up in New
Oh, yeah.
England that had a
yeah.
legitimate dungeon, like an actual
I-
jail in the
I will
basement.
I will build the bridge of the Enterprise D and E before I have children. Period.
Fair enough.
Period. And
Fair enough.
I recognize that will take some years, but that is fine with me because because my children, they will be raised on the Enterprise. As far as they're concerned, their first 5 years will be on the ship.
That's gonna be a feat, man.
And
It's
then
gonna be a feat.
when they turn 6, they will time travel back to the 21st century where they will fix all of Earth's problems that they learned in the 24th century. Done.
All right, so we are now almost 10 minutes in, and we have sort of not really covered our topic.
Do we ever really cover it?
I mean,
Rarely.
we're not quite entertainment rants. I hear you, Marco. But yeah, we're wondering a bit. So let's talk season 1, and let's talk how
Okay.
we'll leave the title credits and the song for later. Let's
Oh,
just
we
talk
can't sing it. We
No.
can't
No.
do a sing along.
No,
Okay, we won't.
I don't need to know how much faith of the heart you have. I don't.
I mean, I'll be honest with you.
Uh-huh. I mean, this is this season 1?
No, that's season 4.
Yeah.
Okay. I pressed that button by accident, by the way. But
Did
okay.
you? Did
I
you
really did. I know. I really did. Like subconsciously, I probably did it on purpose, but consciously, I swear to God, I was like, okay. So do we want to read from Memory Alpha or Wikipedia, like how season 1?
I mean, we
played
have
out?
Keith, so I feel like it's all right.
Keith, how well do you know it?
Well, season 1 was the first missions of the NX-01,
Uh-huh.
but also them finding out about the temporal Cold War.
Yep.
Mhm.
I was about to say that is
Plot points forced on them by CBS.
Mhm.
it's a
and,
thing that happened.
So the major villain throughout the first season were the Suliban, which were named after the Taliban
Yep.
Oh.
before 9/11.
Oh,
But to be
Yeah.
fair, I mean, to be fair, we've known about the Taliban since the 50s. So
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and
So,
then,
yeah.
so basically, everything that they had actually planned out for season 1 got shelved, and they bought in on the temporal Cold War storyline. And
oh, dear sweet Cthulhu sleeping in relay, can you tell?
they tried to do, new old introductions done, reintroducing the Andorians, reintroducing the Klingons, reintroducing the what did you do Tellarites in season 1?
I don't think so. I thought that was season 2.
Yeah, I think Babel was in season 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because the Tellarites are later because they kind of come out of nowhere.
Right. Because when was Shran introduced?
Season 1.
Season 1.
Season 1.
Yeah.
So
Was that Shadows of Pajem?
Well, Shadows of the Pajem was later, but it was the episode at Pajem.
right.
The one where we find out that it's a Vulcan listening post?
Yes. That's
Yeah.
where we meet
Mm.
Japan. That was the first.
I think what was interesting.
See, I swear to God, I watched it.
Well, the only thing that I remembered about
The
season 1 was
Andorian incident.
okay.
That's what it was. Yeah.
The only thing that
2001.
yeah, the only thing that I remembered about season 1 that technically didn't happen, but the writers confirmed that's exactly who it was. Did y'all know who the Suliban was talking to? That big shadowy figure.
The humanoid figure from the future. Yeah.
Yes. Do you know who that was?
Yes.
No.
Oh wait, Keith, you do know.
Yes. Well,
So are
who
we
the
gonna
writers
tell?
said it was.
Okay. So it was supposed to be Archer from the future.
Yeah.
A very changed, disgruntled. I don't think he was captain at that point.
It would be
Archer.
former President Archer at that point.
Former President Archer. And he's trying to rewrite history because some mess done happened and he wanted to change the past. Well, anyway, they were going to
That's
explore that.
really titanically stupid.
Well, here's the thing. They were going to explore that. They were going to
I could
explore
have gone my
all
whole
that.
life without knowing that, guys.
Well, I mean, look, they were
I
going to
could have
explore
hated. I
it.
could have
anyway.
hated Enterprise less.
Here's the thing. I always thought Archer had a temper on him.
I mean,
He
yeah,
was angry
Yeah.
for no reason.
clearly.
Like, I thought it was bad acting and
Did they?
bad writing.
Did they use Scott Bakula for the voice?
No.
It was a distorted voice. They made him seem like a Romulan or something.
Yeah.
In fact, I think that's actually one of the few things that I liked about the Temporal Cold War is that we never knew.
Right.
That we didn't have. I mean, it's one of the very few things, right?
Mhm.
Because effectively, Archer is looking at this from an ant's perspective at a much larger, more technologically advanced situation. So
Right.
I really loved that we didn't know what was going on because Archer, obviously, and the Enterprise characters are POV characters.
Right.
And that makes sense. I've spoken about this before, but I really do love it when they leave certain things open because I think that's kind of life. There are things we're never going to know.
Right.
There are answers we're never going to have, and it
Right.
hints at a much larger universe. One of the problems I have with Star Wars, right, is that while they have this huge playing field, they tend to narrow it down a little. And, everything comes back to Tatooine. Everything comes back to a Skywalker. Everything comes back to a Palpatine. It's a big damn galaxy, guys. Big. Big.
It's a soap opera, essentially.
Well,
Yeah.
Star Trek does that a bit too much with the books as well.
Right. That is a fair cop. But since the books are kind of sanctioned fanfic, I'm just going to let that go.
That's for your information. Humanoid figure from Enterprise was played by James Horan, Horan, who also appeared in 2 episodes of The Next Generation, and continues to appear on the Orville.
Who is he?
Who is he on the
Next
Orville?
Generation? Yeah.
He's one of the Krill.
Okay.
So who was he
But
on
on Next Generation, he was the episode where Dr. Crusher was working with the Ferengi to be able to go into the corona of a star. He was
Yeah,
the big
yeah,
green
yeah.
Oh god,
guy
is that
that
the
faked his death.
ruse?
Is
Yeah.
that the blue guy? The blue guy that could fake death?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then later
Oh.
he was on as a human who just when I think it was the end of season 6. But he disagreed with whoever was in charge.
I mean, that sounds like everyone on Deep Space Nine.
Right. I'm going to need you to narrow that down.
Okay, in the Descent, when most of the crew are sent down to the surface to search, he was the tactical officer with Dr. Crusher in charge.
So he was an extra.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But there was an ensign that Crusher kept going back to, and he was a lieutenant, so he was being snotty and rude.
Okay.
I mean, that sort of makes sense why he's a krill.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm trying to figure out, High Priest Sazaron. Yeah, no, he's a dick.
Well, I mean, whatever works.
Oh no, I mean that's just the character he plays on the Orville. Since we're kind of we're obviously in hiatus until next week when Prodigy drops.
Yes.
I've been writing about the Orville every week. So.
I still need to watch the Orville. I do. Just so I can say I watched it.
One of these days, I literally want to have one of these live sessions and just talk about the Orville.
And just talk.
Yeah.
Because I know that the previous season did a good job at pissing you off.
Season one.
Season one. How many seasons are there now?
3.
3. Okay. I found the ship.
Yes.
There it is.
Yes.
And it was a beauty. I'll be honest with you. The first episode, and it might be in season 1. Keith, you might have to correct me. But the first Enterprise episode that I personally remember was when the ship was screwed up, and they went to this AI docking station where it could repair the ship by itself using the brains of other people. Well,
right.
Anyway,
this is when somebody actually tried to vouch for the fact that Malcolm had a brain.
Right. That part. So all that jazz. And I remember the exact scene. T'Pol, Trip, and Archer came to this lounge table, whatever it was, and there was a replicator in the middle of it.
Dead Stop, season 2, episode 4.
Okay, so it was season 2. And I remembered, and even though I didn't know the species, I knew that this person was like Spock, or it was like whoever you gotta understand, this William was in the first grade at this point. But I'm sorry, Marie. I'm sorry. So let me.
I like when he takes himself out of shame.
I'm so serious because I thought you're gonna throw like an energy discharge at me, so that way I'll be like, to be.
Speaking of Star Wars,
we have to acknowledge that there are people that are younger than us that actually are adults now.
Hey, here's the thing.
No, I don't. I don't have to. I have to acknowledge nothing.
My oldest daughter is taller than both of my parents. I have to acknowledge that these things happen.
How old is she?
How old
11.
is she? How tall is your wife? Or your girlfriend, or her mother?
She's taller than her mom now too. So,
you know what? That's fair because I'm taller than both of my parents.
Yeah, I'm 6'3". My ex is 5'4".
Hold the hell up! Whoa! Pause. I'm gonna ask the question that Marie is wondering in her head right now because I can see it. If you're 6'3", and your daughter's taller than you,
no,
taller than his parents and her mother.
How tall are your parents?
5'7", 5'8".
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
I really, what I was sitting here thinking is that I'm the only one who's short.
Yeah, I don't.
Sorry.
Okay, here's the thing.
Vertically challenged.
Short to me is anything under 5 feet.
I mean, I gotta tell you, 5'4" is sometimes I'm not tall enough to ride the ride. Not gonna lie.
Well, 6'3". Sometimes I'm too tall to ride the ride. So
hey, if it helps, I am also 6'3". So yeah. Although,
but anyway, okay, going back to Enterprise. My God, guys,
that's the thing about the show. We always lose track. We're 19 minutes in, and we didn't really do a real plot summary of season 1.
Dead Stop, season 2, episode 4.
Yes, so
Thank
that's
you, Keith. Thank you.
pretty much in season 1, in the first episode, we get a cameo appearance from what's the actor's name that played
James Cromwell?
James Cromwell.
Yes. We first see him in TNG, and he played as president in a couple of movies, and then a bunch of other stuff, blah blah blah. And then he played as Cochrane in what's his first name? Zefram Cochrane. Thank you. In First Contact, which is which we'll get around to eventually in some realm universe. But basically, First Contact ties directly into Enterprise. It's almost like a spinoff in a way, they because especially with the Borg episode they threw in the last season.
Yeah.
So I ain't gonna lie. I don't care what anyone says. That Borg episode was good. Like I was like, okay. I'm like, all
I
right.
was actually
So-
watching a Trek Culture video about it yesterday, and how it's in time it looks a lot better in hindsight, especially since they never say the word Borg ever in the episode.
I mean, they
Which
were
is
still
also
collecting
something
the
that I
memory.
really like.
Yeah, because if they did say Borg, that would have screwed up the whole show. Like,
Yeah,
Just
now
the
the
sa- just the
Ferengi
same way,
episode
like-
that was just bad.
Yeah, that.
now,
But to be fair, like that's kind of like a Ferengi thing because the first Ferengi episode period was awful
Yes.
oh yeah, it's terrible. They were like literally trolls
with
Like,
whips.
Mhm.
with whips, which we
I
never
was like,
get
how
to
do
see
you
those
ruin
whips
laser
again.
whips, guys? But you did. Well done.
Mhm.
Like we never get to see those whips again. We never they become more. I mean, yeah, in the first few episodes they talked about profit a little bit, but it wasn't the center of their existence either.
Yeah, they're wearing furs in the first
I
season
know.
of Next Gen. Yeah.
I know.
Right.
I know. It's terrible.
So basically what TNG is now saying is those Ferengi are what the Klingons are in Discovery. They are just an off branch that we just do not speak of. We do not talk about it with outsiders.
The mother of Klingons would beg to disagree.
Which
I
however
however,
acknowledges that in Lower Decks.
okay, so let's talk about the things we like about Enterprise.
Okay.
I've heard a vote for the set designs, and I actually agree with William on this. I love how tactile the ship is. How like it has switches, not like touch screens.
Touchscreen.
Right.
I love that the quarters are small. You get a much more claustrophobic sense of the Enterprise, which reminds me a lot of submarines and battleships, frankly. Also, just the level of metal that we see as opposed to 80s upholstery.
And plastic and leather.
Right,
carpet.
right. Oh, dude, that's not leather. That shit's premium Naugahyde. Let's be real.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
It's almost like in a antiquish sense, it's almost like the Defiant as far as how small the corridors were. Which, if I'm not mistaken, I think they took the Defiant and refurbished it into Enterprise.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It would make sense, except isn't there enough of a gap between the end of
No, they
No.
constantly were refurbishing sets. I mean,
No. Yes, absolutely,
So-
100%. But they were, but after a certain point, like they actually like would destroy sets. And so what I'm wondering if there's a time gap long enough between
there was only a
what we left
2-year gap.
behind and
Well, I mean, okay, so if I'm not mistaken, Deep Space Nine overlapped with the end of TNG, which overlapped the beginning of Voyager, which overlapped with Enterprise.
no. Voyager ended before Enterprise started.
Yep.
So there was
Yeah.
a few years, there was a gap.
There was a 6-month gap.
Oh, 6-month gap. Well,
that's what I couldn't remember. So yeah, that's
Okay.
entirely possible. But again, there's a lot I really like about the designs
Yes.
for the NX-01.
okay.
I also liked the jumpsuits.
Yeah.
I know not a lot of
Okay.
people did, but I did. I thought they were, especially now that I've spent so much time as a military spouse, I could actually see the pockets and, like where you'd put a stylus and stuff. And it just sort of reminds me of my husband's uniform.
Right.
I liked that. I liked the fact that they had a cook and a mess because that sort of made sense, right?
Yeah. It was
Um,
Will Riker.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
We're just not
No.
talking. We're not getting
Yes,
there.
it
We're not
was.
getting there. No,
Okay.
no. I'm actually wondering if hating on These Are the Voyages needs its own episode
Oh, of course. It was.
because it's awful.
Yes.
Awful. So those are the things that I really, really liked. I also and I've said that again, I've said this before. I sound like a broken record on this, but I really liked that we had linguistic struggles, right? With Hoshi and the fact that the UT didn't always work. Because again, what Hoshi was doing was groundbreaking and incredibly difficult.
Absolutely.
Mm, yes.
And I hate how Enterprise treated her for that.
Right.
So that's that's what I liked about, season 1 generally.
Okay.
So Keith,
Well, I did love that they recognized that communications would be a more important thing, whereas like there isn't really an operations officer. There isn't. And when you look at how the crew is made up versus the previous series, they realized how important communications would be, and put that back up as one of the top positions. The last time you had a dedicated communications officer on TV was Aurora.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it was something that was lumped in with pretty much anyone on Voyager could open hailing frequencies. So there, it was nice.
And the existence of the UT though, right? Like the existence and development of the UT made it, made having a translator not necessarily irrelevant, because we did see some issues with that going through TNG, right? When they would have to figure out like what this language was, the Temerians.
Or Deep Space Nine with the species that had to walk around the station for an hour before you could understand a single word they were saying.
Yeah, there's that. So that, I mean, those made sense, but like the development of the UT sort of made that, inconsequential. So having Hoshi come back and do that, I thought, is awesome.
And they basically took everything we knew of what is Star Trek and then tried to reverse engineer it back. So you got the earliest transporter, you got shuttle pods instead of shuttlecraft, you got phaser cannons instead of phasers.
Yes.
You had torpedoes, not
like
real,
real honest
like
torpedoes.
real torpedoes.
And
Malcolm spends a lot of time stroking himself over the torpedoes.
Yeah,
Lord have mercy.
And like there even was an episode where they were trying to figure out how to create an energy barrier. They were trying to create force fields.
Right, because they had to polarize the deck plating, and I'm just sitting here like,
yeah, there was no shields. No.
That
you have to polarize it.
Yeah, like I was just like, you're doing what now? That's not how that works. But okay,
you're who?
That's gonna do literally nothing against a projectile weapon. But
they learn real quick too. They learn real quick.
Just the mere fact of how they went out there without having most of their weapons up and running. Like, they were you poor sweet children.
I mean, but to me, just that was so true. Like that is so much, us, right? Like because one of the major character arcs for Archer in seasons 1 and 2, really, is his frustration with how long it has taken.
It took an extra 100 years.
Right, because and he blames the Vulcans because the Vulcans are apparently dealing with, some things.
Yeah, that was an interesting choice that they decided to kind of devolve the Vulcans a little bit. I mean, the fact that they weren't interested in mind melds and like so many things that we knew about Vulcans, they took away.
But in all fairness, though, like again, we're dealing with a 2001 sort of airing schedule, right? Like, both pre and post, and so like I think the Vulcans, and taking that approach to the Vulcans was actually making some commentary about the ramifications of what America as a society was going through, right? Like because I mean, let's be real, Star Trek really is just kind of like truth, justice, and the American way in space. And I gotta tell you, as someone who did not experience 9/11 in the United States, I was actually abroad and had lived there for quite some time, and then I came back. The difference to me was stark. Like from the moment I got off the plane to when I got back to my family before I moved out and did all these other things. I mean, it was just stark. And I think that's kind of what they were getting at there. I may be giving them more credit than they deserve, but I'm going to go with it.
Yeah. Well, most of first season was written and filmed before 9/11 happened.
Yeah, right. but a lot of the really good development that we get with the Vulcans and really sort of like getting into it, happens after. And what's interesting is the neoconservative movement didn't date from 9/11. It started significantly earlier. And so, and effectively, what we end up with are neocon Vulcans. This is probably going to be our least popular video. because I just used the word neocon, but we're gonna go with it.
I mean, I was looking at your face. It kind of went dead for a minute, and I was like, "This can't be from the photos. This can't be from the photos. Like, this can't be from the photos. The photos, I didn't do anything to them." Like,
But I agree with Keith that it's a really interesting choice, and it definitely gets us into we get to move away from Deus Ex Vulcan. I think we can also at this point talk about T'Pol and what they did with her as a character. And
her story.
Can you pull up the photo that you were scrolling through that had the cast for a minute? Literally, the only person posed like a porn star.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I heard she hated it too.
Oh,
She did.
She was she was the next 7 of 9.
Yes.
Yeah, Jolene Blaylock was actually was a real fan of the original series, and so she was like, "We are hypersexualizing a species that is not hypersexualized. This is not how this is supposed to go." And they were like, "Shut up and show your boobs."
Yeah.
And
the number of times she was shown in less than. And considering how many layers everyone else is wearing.
Can we talk about the infamous gel scene?
I was looking for it. I was really looking for it. I was so looking for it.
It makes sense that they had the decon chamber, but yeah, it's like they created the whole thing just so they could get her lifting her shirt. Yeah.
It's just I mean, okay, so like probably the only thing that I appreciated was, as far as the love story goes, it took a whole 4 seasons to completely develop it, which I appreciated, because it did kind of remind me of, even though Riker and Choi's was deeper, it reminded me of that. But I like how T'Pol's love was in many ways similar to that of Odo's. Like, she tried to keep it locked up. She tried to maintain order, but the emotions just eventually broke through. And like T'Pol got sick, Odo got sick. I'm not saying that they purposely mirrored their stories. I'm just saying that, this is like a love story. And I feel like it's one of the things, other than Trip's death, in Enterprise that was not flawed.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He's in Section 31. Okay, cool. Got it. Great.
That was just so titanically stupid. I mean, just.
I mean, Marie, you know how like I really feel about the ending. Like
everybody, nobody likes this ending. Nobody. I think
here's the thing.
I mean,
I do.
I think this is one of those situations where
I've always liked it. Because here's why. I don't like it.
I love you, but you're making that really hard right now.
Of course, but and that's not what he said to me. But anyway, so here's the thing. Here's what you have to understand. I like it not because it's good. It's not good.
No.
I like it because it's bad. Okay, here's my thing.
But this isn't like Mummy. It's so bad. It's funny.
No. I don't think it's funny at all. No, I don't. That wasn't a haha moment.
It's so bad.
I feel like it's
hurts.
pure justification. I feel like it's pure justification.
It's Rick Berman and Brandon Braga basically like realizing that they are being shoved out of the franchise and just kind of ramming that down everybody else's throats.
You are 100% spot on correct. Rick Berman is a dick. I will not deny that. Okay, he should have been put out of Star Trek. Okay, quite frankly. Okay, I got tired of seeing his name, so I saw his name more than Jerry Ryan's. Like, it just didn't make no sense.
And that's also a conversation we're going to have when we have the Orville rant episode.
Absolutely. The reason I liked it was because, and they messed the show up in so many ways, just like they did every Trek show. But my thing is, as I growing up over the last 10 years, I would watch before Discovery came out, hell, before the 2009 Star Trek came out, everyone destroyed Enterprise like it was the scum of the earth, like it was absolute filth, like it was the worst thing that could have ever been aired. And they weren't talking about the last episode, they were talking about the show as a whole. And I said, so from my perspective, I was like, is it really that bad? Then Discovery comes out, then Picard, then Lower Decks, and each of them took that same hit that Enterprise took in the beginning. So is Enterprise really that
I'm also going to
bad?
point out that TNG did too.
Exactly.
Like, if you go back and you look at I don't mean to steal your thunder.
No,
as,
you're right,
Captain
you're right.
Librarian at the bottom there. But if you go back and you pull the periodicals, right, like, and you look back, you can actually see people just writing episode, like article after article after article, like on the BBS boards, that kind of thing,
Right,
about
right.
how terrible TNG was and how it just
Right.
didn't have
Right.
the cast
The
didn't
first
gel.
season, it was terrible, though. But,
I mean,
It was
not gonna
terrible.
lie,
but
like,
not terrible
each
for the
first
reasons
season.
they were saying it was terrible.
yes.
except for Lower Decks, each season was terrible. Each first season was terrible. Like,
No, I would
Strange New
argue that
Worlds.
Strange New Worlds, man. Yeah, I was like,
okay, Strange New Worlds was pretty dope. I ain't gonna lie.
and
I
again, like it still breaks my brain a little that Anson Mount is now in my fandom, and I'm like, I don't know how to deal with this.
and you went to the same college as him.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Yes, may or may not have run into him.
I mean, may or may not have. Absolutely. Like when,
But
when
yeah,
I,
no,
when
I mean it just breaks my brain. It just does.
yeah.
And I'm actually
Well, okay,
I'm
well-
actually gonna have lunch on Sunday with another graduate of the same university, and we're gonna
Oh.
and we're basically gonna swap Anson
Oh, that's
stories.
gonna be great. That's gonna be great.
Nice.
But
because
that's
they
what I
were
was-
fraternity
yeah.
brothers.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
now he
Oh, no,
has
dude.
to answer.
Like my university is one of those amazingly sort of like incestuous groups. It's one of those where we all know each other. It doesn't really matter when you graduated.
Mm.
It's I mean,
Okay.
it's a tiny school on top of a mountain in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee.
What are the odds?
Right.
Right.
But anyway,
But yeah. So I'm watching this and I'm watching this and I'm reading this and I'm reading this, and then ever since Discovery came out, I got more and more. This is a personal thing now. I got more and more pissed at the fact that all of a sudden, everyone moved their anger to Discovery, to Picard, to Lower Decks, to Prodigy. They came after one or two, maybe two of the episodes of Strange New Worlds, but they didn't give it near as much heat. And I ain't gonna lie, I was guilty of shooting fire at Discovery season 1 too. I still am, but yeah, absolutely. So my thing is Enterprise really that bad, or are we trying to compare it to other Trek shows?
well, I mean, we're trying to have that conversation, and we keep tangenting. So
No, I've done enough rewatches of every show. I just finished a rewatch of Next Generation a few weeks ago. I'm
oh god,
season 2
season
of Voyager
7
now.
is heinous.
Yeah, but
He's like,
I'm
yeah.
just gonna be quiet on that one. You know,
It's
all good things.
either extreme, like it's so uneven. It's either extremely good or abysmal. Like there's nothing in between.
I was surprised they didn't have a musical episode.
technically they did.
I mean, yes, but I meant like a musical. Like,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But that was also one of the best episodes. Let's be real.
But
I assume
what
you're
was the-
talking about Interlight.
But what were you
Yeah.
saying, Keith? That you rewatched all the
Yeah,
shows?
so I've rewatched. So I've been able. I'm not looking back through rose-colored glasses or anything. But now I watched the first season of Enterprise fresh when it
Mhm.
was on, and then I went to college and
Who
I
is
was
that?
working Wednesday nights, so I wasn't able to catch it when it was on. And so it was a while before I got back to it.
Same.
Guys, I hate to interrupt, but there is someone from Brazil speaking to us in Klingon right now, and I'm just now reading it.
Yeah, that was 12 minutes ago that they posted.
Yeah. Like, I mean,
Did
Come
I
on.
miss that?
yes. I literally was posting in the private chat, like, whose Klingon is better than mine?
My Cleon sucks. So
Hello, person Og 91. Pleasure to meet you. We are from Earth.
Well done.
We have
they
a
are too, they're
Brazilian.
from Brazil.
We have a Brazilian Klingon, which
Well
makes
done.
sense because the Klingon from Star Trek V had a Hispanic accent, and his name was Captain Claw.
I'm gonna
Look at-
point
Why'd
out
you
that
gotta bring up
Brazil,
Star Trek 5.
like in Brazil, they speak Portuguese. BT
Yes.
dubs.
My bad. Look, I love you. Can we move on?
Okay. So I've done a rewatch of Enterprise.
Danny, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can just be quiet for the next 5 minutes.
I believe for the 50th anniversary, I tried to do week to week going through all of them. Oh, that works. And I wanted to. There's so many
Anyway, so my friends had to
It's not fair. It is not fair to do that to Keith. Keith had real shit
You're
to
right.
say.
You're right. Keith is innocent. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Keith.
I'm
sorry.
a guest on your show.
This is
No,
why
you
we're
are a
so much like
valuable. You
TNG.
are a valued contributing member.
Yes.
We gotta have somebody who like reins us in.
I'll be honest.
And Keith's
we-
like,
we,
yeah, no.
we are the TNG cast. If you think about it, we are like we are just rowdy. Like I promise you, can't no one direct us. They quit.
It's just crazy to think at the end of season 1, they basically fired all the women on TNG.
Well, it was a toss up between Troy and Crusher, but in the end, they ended up killing.
Well, he was gonna Gene was gonna fire both, and then Majel went, you just fired all the women on your show.
Miss Barrett had a saying.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, remember, like she and Gene were both still very much active, right?
Yeah.
Well, also, if you take away Deanna, what's you can't get Loxana back, so Majel definitely would want.
Did Loxana come in season 1 though?
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
forgot.
that was actually okay. So fun fact, that was when she shows up.
Uh-huh.
That was actually the first time Armin Shimerman actually ends up on
Yes. He's a
TNG
box.
because he's the suitcase.
That was before the Ferengi. That was before Last
Yes.
Outpost,
Yes, it
because he was the first Ferengi as well.
Yes, he was. But that was his first his first appearance, and he's a gold-plated box.
A gold-plated box.
Oh yeah, no, that is the episode where Troy is engaged and like
Right, and they were naked and they were held prisoner and all that other stuff.
No.
That's
that was after.
That's Menage a Troy.
Menage a
okay.
Troy. Yeah, that
No,
is.
th-
Yeah.
This is where she's engaged to a man who he's either a doctor or an artist, but he's also secretly in love with a woman he's never met.
He's a doctor and he's in love with a woman he's never met, and her entire species has this plague, and so as a result, like they can't actually like make contact with anybody, and you know they sort of had this whole thing where like I think his father was super tight with Troy's father, and they were like, we're totally gonna have an arranged marriage in the 24th century because yeah. And so like like literally at one point, like apparently his parents were like, we're doing this, and they invest in this Betazoid creepy ass talking box.
Yeah.
And it shows up and Troy's like, oh shit.
No, my favorite thing about that episode, so on the bridge of the alien ship, they have this really weird black chair that's like different pieces that come up. But then it ended up in Worf's
room, yeah. It's the weird hand chair.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why you need to sit in there are so many conversations we need to have about this chair.
I feel like
that had to be like a super expensive chair because like
it had to have been.
It was too ugly to be cheap.
Yeah.
Someone took that chair home.
We've got to put this in as many episodes as possible to fully amortize out the cost.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. It's like when you show up with like a Herman Miller Aeron and you're just like, okay, we just spent $1,500 on this chair. We're going to use it forever.
Yeah. I mean, I'd use it. Yeah. $1 per episode. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. They're comfortable chairs. I just happen to like mine better, but.
Okay. Yeah. Enterprise.
Okay. So we talked about season 1. Keith. So what happens in season 2 and 3?
Okay. Well, you had basically everything that was going on season 1 just kept on rolling into season 2. And they had the shockwave thing, and Archer brought to the future.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, this is actually season 2 is actually where your favorite whole conversation with the dude who's like sort of human, mostly. We've talked about this. We've talked about this where he's Archer's talking to the dude in black, and the dude in black, he's like, are you human? And he's like, mostly, yeah. But like a whole bunch of other stuff.
Oh, you're talking about the dude.
The humanoid figure.
The humanoid figure, yeah.
No, I'm not. No, I'm talking about like the temporal agent or whatever.
That's what I'm saying. The time travel dude.
Oh, Daniels, yeah.
He started off as, even though we realized that he was like a undercover, he started off as a person that died on the ship, but he didn't die. Like he just got erased.
Well,
him
a
from
version of him died.
a version of him died. But yeah, they literally tried to make but put it this way: Enterprise ran in temporal agents so that way the Flash could fly. Because the Flash the Flash did it, and they did it much better.
I'm going to
Yeah.
point out that the Flash was actually building off much older comics.
Yes.
True. But I call bullshit
Did he freeze?
because
Or did I freeze?
No, you froze, but he's calling bullshit, and it's very funny.
I'm calling
But
bullshit.
but I gotta tell you, Keith, like if you're gonna freeze, like that's a good place to freeze. I never freeze that gracefully, ever. Ever. All right, William.
Okay. So anyway, season 2 and then season 3, and basically, while we got 15 minutes left, we pretty much go through 3 seasons. Well, technically 4 seasons in season 4.
I think Keith was actually going to tell us what.
Oh
we
yeah,
were
what
gonna go
happens? Yeah, what happens?
All right, well,
'Cause-
season 2, what you had, the continuation of things. They wanted to introduce more of the species. They
uh-huh.
did have the one episode that actually picked up on something from the original series, the Communicator,
Mm-hmm.
because you
Yes.
had the Sigma Iosians that
Yep.
they visited in the original series, and at the
Mhm.
end, McCoy accidentally left his communicators that led them to end the episode with a laugh and a freeze cut. Like,
Yep.
But so they actually had an interesting episode on that, and
Oh, which one was the T'Pau episode that we later get to see her in?
Oh, that's moving. That's moving forward.
that's season
That's-
4.
That's season
Okay.
4.
okay.
And I do actually want to have like an entire conversation about that, but we don't have nearly enough time. So let's
Yeah.
let's
then-
cover seasons 2 and 3.
Yeah, so season 3
If
wrapped with
possible.
the final episode. Florida is attacked by this
Ugh.
unknown alien species.
Oh my God, it's 9/11.
Yeah,
No,
I'm not
I say
making
this
fun.
as
I'm not
someone. I
making
say
fun.
this as someone who lived in Florida. Like, really, we're not missing out.
I mean, they're each of their news heads begins with Florida Man. So Florida Man
Really?
loses sister in a terrorist attack.
Florida man holds up a McDonald's with an alligator. Actual headline.
Mhm. All right, so then season 3 is the whole hunting of the Zindi.
So now we go into the Zindi story arc with season 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to love. Okay, so season 2 is basically wrapping up like the temporal Cold War, and
No, no, they didn't wrap it until the beginning of season 4.
yeah,
Right,
but like
right,
nobody
because
cared.
Because they went back to World War II and
Like
everything
literally
was a
nobody
mess.
cared though. Like I mean, because it was literally just kind of like we're gonna shovel this aside.
Well, they wanted to end season 3 with the most out there break that they could. So it was an alien in a Nazi uniform,
I thought
an
that
alien
was
with
cool.
red glowing eyes.
I
Yep.
thought that was cool because he reminded you of not that MCU did it yet, but it reminded me of what's that red devil face from that's part of
The Red Skull.
the Red Skull. It reminded me of him.
Mm,
I mean, no, like I mean that to me was a flashback to Patterns of Force, which was actually a much better episode.
yes.
Although
like how-
although I will never ever not find it awkward that they put Jewish actors in Nazi uniforms for that
Yes.
one.
Over and over again. They kept changing into different ones.
Yeah.
Dang.
I mean, and like it's not like Leonard Nimoy was quiet about his heritage, right? And so
Yeah.
Shatner, by the way.
Yes.
Right.
As we know from the Hanukkah song.
Why? Why do you bring these things forward, Keith?
I mean, it's a major line. You could spin a dreidel with Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock, both Jewish. Sorry. Okay, so then season 4, you had a new showrunner take over, and what he did was mini arcs, and basically everyone was trying to tie to something from the original series.
Yeah, that's when we had four seasons in one season.
Yes.
Yep.
Manny Koto, and he did a fantastic job. And unfortunately, the show was pretty much canceled by the time season 4 already started airing.
Yeah.
Oh,
which
so
is-
it was already canceled.
It wasn't announced until midway through the season.
No, but they knew.
Yeah.
They knew because their funding was starting to dry up, and you can very much tell.
but you get the augments, you get the Soong family making an appearance, you get Klingons with smooth foreheads.
Which I'm so glad they did that, by the
Yeah.
way.
And
I
you
don't
get
care
the
what anyone
beginnings-
this.
And you get the beginnings of the Federation.
Mm.
And then the Romulans, you really get a good Romulan multiple.
Mhm.
And we see Remans who never changed their uniforms in the last 200 years, apparently.
Well, that's the only time you see Remans outside of
Mhm.
Nemesis.
Which I think they're slaves on a moon, right?
Well, Remus is a planet that sort of mirrors Romulus. Like,
Sort
I mean,
of.
it sort of follows Romulus in orbit around the star.
Man, I mean, we're just dragging the bottle of the barrel, right? Like,
I mean, you got to think about it.
Nemesis.
I'm gonna tell you how cheap. And you know what? You actually make a really good point, Keith, because they were so low on funds. If you think about it, the last episode of Enterprise came out May 13th, which just happened to be a Friday. Sorry, 2005. 2005, coincidentally, was the same year Nemesis came out.
Yeah.
And so they pretty much said, "Hey, we have a Reman. Let's put him in the exact same uniform that we put them in Nemesis."
Well,
and
we're just gonna borrow that uniform.
gonna
Well,
borrow
to be
it.
fair, I mean that's also like a Trek thing too, because like the Borg Queen costume front in Voyager is literally the same one that Alison Krieg wore.
Yes. Well,
And that was a whole kettle of fish because it was literally tailored to Alison Krieg, and the actress in
Samantha.
in
Suzanne
Voyager
Thompson.
was not quite the same size, and so like
she
there were
has to
there were some very real issues with the costume, and she had to, and you can sort of see some awkward movements that she had to adjust, like where she was adjusting to wearing ultimately a costume that just didn't fit.
Because they didn't want to make another one.
Also, you have frozen again, Keith. This is a less graceful freeze.
I ain't gonna lie, that your face looks a little bit degraded.
Uh-oh.
I can hear you, but yeah,
Yeah.
it looks like
It
someone
doesn't look
shot.
to me like I'm frozen at all. So
I mean, did someone throw some
It never does.
xenomorph acid on you or something?
I hope not.
We are
I mean, that was
literally
not-
dancing through all kinds of like franchises at this point.
I think Strange New Worlds did a good job at exploring that arc with xenomorphs. Like they really did. But let me shush. Keith's right. Okay, you're moving again. Great. So no, he's right though, because it's like literally in like the last 5 episodes, each episode is like a representation of what could have been.
It was, right? When you look at basically all the storylines for season 4, were everything that they had ready to go for season 1, and they were CBS told them no.
We're not going to do that. We're going to do this temporal Cold War, or like come up with something a little bit more cohesive.
Yeah.
And that's when we get the temporal Cold War and the world's ugliest alien.
Yeah. So
what were our favorite arcs at it? Okay, so we're clearly just going to skip season 3, which is unfortunate because I actually really liked season 3.
And I really hated season 3.
That's so funny, because that's largely the Xindi War.
Yeah, and
and I think that's really when Enterprise finds its feet, in the sense that they were wrestling with CBS in seasons 1 and 2, and then by the end of season 2, CBS is just like, we don't care anymore, and they're able to do different things.
And because they were able to do different things, they found their footing.
Well, as I said when we were talking last week, there was an article, and I tried to track
The
it down.
TV Guide thing, yeah, like
TV Guide or someone, they gave in the middle of season 2, they said, okay, what's wrong with Enterprise? And they gave a list of things that they should do, and they actually did every single thing, because up until the end of season 2, it was Enterprise. It was Star Trek Enterprise.
Yes,
and
then we go back to Star Trek. And
yeah, they said bring back Star Trek.
Is that when they debuted the new version of Faith of the Heart as well?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the one with the drums and stuff.
I gotta tell you, like to this day, I think the Enterprise title sequence is perhaps the most visually stunning of all of them.
It actually shows an arc of how they grew to that point.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and
Including
I love that
Phoenix.
visually. And then but Faith of the Heart is a thing that happened.
Absolutely.
my parents loved it because they grew up through the things they're seeing on, and that they grew up through the space race and everything. So they
Yeah,
really enjoyed that.
from the first Enterprise to the not the first Enterprise, but like the second and third Enterprise to the NX-01, because the first Enterprise was a old
Sailing ship.
1700 ship. Yeah.
Right. But what I
This
loved
is a-
about that, and not a joke, but what I loved about that is that it grounds Enterprise and it
Mhm.
grounds Star Trek in this history that we don't really get a solid grounding in TOS and TNG. And that's very purposefully done on Roddenberry's part, right? Because Roddenberry was making TOS in the 60s. And so like he was dealing with the fallout of World War II. He's dealing with the rise of McCarthyism. He's dealing with, like basically America getting a whole bunch of shit wrong.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Right.
And so like we get this distance with this history. And what Enterprise does is Enterprise legitimately brings it back to that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that I really loved about that title sequence
Mm-hmm.
is that we have this history, right? Like we have to embrace the good with the bad, or the bad with the good, depending on your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, to me, that's what that title sequence was saying. And I would be lying if I said I didn't own the MP3 of Faith of the Heart.
That's what I
have it
freaking
too.
thought. That is what I thought. Like, you may not like the song, but you cannot deny how catchy it is when you get used to it.
No, it is
There you
interesting.
go.
Like, you take Archer's theme that plays over the end credits, and it fits perfectly over the opening credits.
Here's the thing.
And that would have been nice.
I actually took the time. It might be during workouts, it might be during walks. I remember it was throughout my college years. I would play the outro song to
Mhm.
Enterprise, not the for season one, but the new one that they made, because they made a new outro along with the new intro.
Mhm.
And I liked it so much that I thought it was magnificent. But to answer the question, my favorite arc, it was a mini arc, but it was an arc nonetheless.
I mean,
It was
all of them were mini arcs in season 4.
it's essentially the Augment Klingon arc, because it wasn't in just one episode. I think it was like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And I really loved that because it properly told what the story that Worf knows about when they said we don't talk about it. Like, how do you sit there and talk, hey, so we tried to steal some genetic engineering from you guys, it didn't work out, and we ended up looking like you for the next 100 years.
And it's got
Now-
James Avery from Fresh Prince, Uncle Phil.
Yep.
Yes,
Yes, it does.
Can we do a rundown of every guest appearance? Not
In
every
3
single
minutes?
celebrity.
I don't think so.
Well, not every single celebrity, but I'm talking about like everyone from Star Trek. We had Jonathan Frakes, we had Brent Spiner, we had who's the dude who plays Neelix? He was a Ferengi.
Yeah,
Ethan Phillips?
Ethan Phillips.
He was a Ferengi in Enterprise.
Yes. Well, yeah, it's him and it's Jeffrey Combs as a Ferengi.
I mean, because Jeffrey Combs is literally everything. And all
Oh, he played as a Ferengi twice?
Yes, he was
Oh.
he was the good Ferengi in that.
Yep.
The good one.
Yep.
He must have been Brunt's ancestor or something.
And then
But-
obviously we have our James Horan that we've talked about earlier.
Yes. Yes. We had Troy. We had
Oh, Data's mother is a Vulcan.
she's the Vulcan that they tried to assassinate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was there. Worf's Worf's baby mama, Alexander's mother, Kalar.
Susie
And she
Plackman.
played as she played as
I
an
mean, she was
Andorian.
everywhere.
Yeah.
She was
everywhere.
everywhere.
Like she also ends up in Voyager, right? Like she ends up as
Yeah,
a
She was
she was Lady
Q's.
Q.
Yeah,
she was Lady Q, yeah.
Lady Q.
And Dr. Seelar in the early issue.
Yeah,
early
Dr.
series.
Solar. Not gonna lie, would not have turned down Lady Q.
I mean,
who am I thinking of?
I
she
have
taught
seen,
me.
I have seen some amazing just some amazing memes with like, what's the actress's name again?
Susie Plaxton.
Susie Plaxton. Like, which version of Susie Plaxton are you? Like, where is your mood today?
Oh, I remember disliking her on Mad About You, but that she was supposed to be dislikable on Mad About You.
Right. That was the point.
Yeah.
I mean, she's just a tremendous actress.
Yes, she is. Then you had the guy who was the Babral in the 2-parter on Deep Space Nine, was the leader of the Vulcans in Enterprise.
Oh yeah, he was also in the original version of Enemy or oh crap, the Tetanese, right? Like the Alien Nation.
Oh yes,
Oh.
yeah.
And don't forget the same 3 Borg that we always see every time they show up. Like it's
Also valid.
yeah, because we keep seeing that same. It was that's one guy that has this weird face. They all have weird. That's beside the point. Anyway,
Yeah, no, but he was like everywhere as a character actor in the 80s and was just kind of like the bad kind of stoic guy.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about?
please correct me. Please correct me. But y'all probably just said his name too. Who the guy that was he was an Ocampan in Voyager, but he ended up being in Enterprise as the Vulcan.
Yeah, that's who we're talking about. Or
Okay.
previous
Yeah, I knew it.
to this
I
other
knew it.
guy. The
Yeah.
guy in Alien Nation. That's what I
Alien
remember
Nation. Okay,
him from.
that's where you remember him from. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because I always really loved the Tetanese, I'm not gonna lie. That was one of
Mhm.
the really first, like outside of say Klingon and Vulcan, that was really one of
Robert
the first times.
Foxworth.
Yes.
Robert Fox. Okay.
That was one of the first times that we really get like an attempt to create an alien culture and to talk about how that alien culture would have interacted with humanity.
Right.
And you know, I think I think we really see some of the inheritance of that in it's a sci-fi show that had an MMO.
I'm not sure.
Oh my gosh. And it had four separate alien species. They were all part of the Voton Collective.
Defiance.
Yes. And Jamie what's her nuts was one of them.
So overall, while we're here, because we're actually a minute.
We're over now. We're over
now. What would you give in an unbiased, non-bad first season type of way? Please give your grade for Enterprise.
I don't think I can, because I think there's so much going on behind the scenes with Enterprise, and there was so much struggle going on, power struggles between CBS and the writers' room, CBS and Rick Berman, CBS and everybody else, and I think they never quite landed on what they wanted to do with a lot of these characters, from Travis Mayweather to Archer as well. I think Archer was also a bit of a struggle for them, and certainly T'Pol was, although, like, God bless her, Jolene Blalock manages to elevate that character. And of course we have the immortal Dr. Phlox, who is possibly one of my favorite characters of all time.
And he's been the most successful post-Enterprise actor of the group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was in,
I'd say
he was in
a little bit,
2012.
about up there with Scott Bakula.
He kept playing as a doctor.
Yeah.
No,
But Scott Bakula going into Enterprise had a pretty solid career.
Well, yeah,
I
he
mean,
had
not
Quantum
like
Leap and Necessary Roughness. And,
Random question. I might have come out of a different universe, but is Scott Bakula gay?
No, definitely not.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, Mandela effect happened, because the universe I came from, he was gay as hell, and it wasn't on no show either. Dude had a man and everything. Actually, no, he didn't have a man. He had one, and then that's beside the point. So, I give this a D plus C minus.
I don't even know where we were for a minute there.
We were grading it.
Keith, did you know? Like, did that happen?
Sadly, it did.
I knew it.
You what?
That's why I love you. Because you know.
This is like Evan Evagora take two. But all right, Keith, what's your grade?
I give it a C, because it's like,
Is your name
acknowledge-
Keith?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You didn't finish talking. You interrupted.
I didn't finish. I'm sorry. I'm
Yay.
sorry. Go ahead, Keith. Okay.
Keith.
Keith.
I was leading towards C, but Maria, I gotta agree with you. Incomplete. We only got 4 seasons, and that wasn't enough. And you could tell they were finally building to something.
Yes.
And what you've seen, what they've talked about, what Michael Westmore has talked about, what Doug Drexler has talked about, what they were going to do with season 5, and that we didn't get it. It's
really makes me sad, right? Like,
one of my favorite ships is the refit of the NX. It is so beautiful having that.
Oh, you're talking
extra,
about when they add the deflector dish at the bottom, right?
Yeah, when they add the secondary hull at the bottom.
Oh, it's
this,
so
got
much.
this printed up because I just love that design so
I'm
much.
not gonna lie, right? Like I am angrier about not getting season 5 of Enterprise than I am about season 8 of Deep Space Nine.
I mean, because at least, yeah.
And I will say why. Because Deep Space Nine, I felt ended well, right?
Yes.
Like it did what it wanted to do. It had, I mean, it would have been awesome had we gotten that mysterious season 8. Not gonna
Yes.
lie. I thought it was amazing. I am angry because Enterprise was finally figuring out where it was going to go. It was finally freed of a lot of this extra baggage. And not only do we not get to see that season 5, we have to end on this narcissistic, self-serving crapshoot of an episode.
Fitted in an episode of Next Generation that wasn't even that great of an episode of the Next Generation.
It was not. It was not. I mean, we all hated Jellicoe. Let's be real.
No, that was a different.
That was a different one.
No,
That-
I thought
that
this was no. I thought this
No,
was the
no,
Pegasus
no.
episode, actually.
It is
yes,
the
That's
Pegasus
right.
episode,
It's
but
the
it is-
Pegasus.
yeah.
Yeah.
right,
Because it's the
yeah.
Pegasus episode because it doesn't even make any sense because like also let's be real, like Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis look very, very different. Right. Because
I mean,
and that's not their fault, right? I mean that it's literally just the amount of time that has passed.
Yeah, it had been over 10 years.
Mhm.
I would have, if I were writing it and someone gave me no other choice but to put it on a TNG holodeck, I would have instead of making it a Riker and Choi episode, I would have made it a Data episode, as far as like another lesson of him exploring his humanity. Like,
I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it, period. Because like this is the only Star Trek that ends
on another Star Trek.
with another Star Trek episode, and it's just
Right.
like
Right.
now
That-
that's
yeah.
that is going to change with season 3 of Picard.
Right.
But the difference there is that Picard's literally a follow-on from TNG.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially
yeah.
this upcoming season. Yeah.
It's literally the Picard is the only TNG that not TNG is the only spinoff directly tied to another show. Whereas
No.
whereas
Prodigy.
Prodigy?
Prodigy is the
Prodigy
spin-off
and
of
Voyager.
I mean, do you really count Prodigy as connecting to Voyager like that?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yes.
Because we don't know
Especially
shit
since
about
Janeway is now on it, full Janeway, not holographic.
We
Okay,
are
we
literally hunting Chakotay.
I mean,
And
that's fine.
I don't think I could have sounded more southern on that word if I
Is
had
it
tried.
Chakotay or Chakotay?
Whatever.
Chakotay
I mean, I'm from Georgia. It's Chakotay.
or Chakotay.
I'm not.
Like-
I'm not quite that bad, guys. Come on, give me some faith. Yeah, like it is. It's very much like it is.
I wonder
it
when is Prodigy coming back for the rest of season
next
1?
week.
No, that's
No,
Lower
that's,
Decks.
that's Lower Decks.
No, oh, I'm sorry. That's Lower Decks.
Lower
I keep
Decks
talking
season
Prodigy.
two.
So
Damn.
Prodigy will come out this winter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it'll be long because are we having 10 episodes again?
we've only seen the first 10 episodes of season 1, and they said
So
it's
this-
a full 20 episode season.
So that means if I'm right, we're gonna see Prodigy around late November, early December.
Yeah, it'd be 10 weeks from next week. Yeah.
Okay, so winter.
One.
Okay,
2, 3,
Wow.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 takes us to the end of October. So first,
You know, I would
Oh,
literally
November
mock you
3rd.
for having a paper calendar, except that I have one also. Like right
I
here.
kind of have one right here.
I find it's good
sorry.
just to have a paper one just when I need to remember what date happens on what day.
right.
I mean,
I-
mine is literally Cat Wars. So yeah.
So we've all given our grades or lack thereof. And
incomplete is a valid grade.
incomplete is a real thing because I've seen it in college. It's a real thing.
I need them to go
Um,
back and finish. I need
you
you
have
to
to go
turn
back
in
and
the rest
finish.
of your work, Enterprise. Come on.
I need if you turn in the rest of the work, but there is a little glimmer of hope. There's supposed to be a anthology series coming out in the coming years, which will
Tales
not-
of the Federation, yes.
Tales
Yeah.
of Federation. We will look at the lasting arc of Captain Archer and what happened after season 4. He will be one of the characters.
However,
So-
we are now almost 10 minutes over, so we are
And
going
we're
to have
not going
to
to talk
wrap.
about Axonar.
We are not going to talk about Axonar. We are not. right now.
Okay.
Thank you for ending on a bad note. Cheers.
Sorry.
All right. Obviously,
almost fell out
thank
my
you,
chair.
Keith, for coming, and I hope to see you again. Always, William. I would say it's a pleasure, but then you said some awful things, and so I don't know that we're friends anymore.
I mean, I didn't give it an A or a B. It's a bad.
No, I don't think that's what she meant.
No.
Oh.
No. I get Keith's tracking. He's tracking.
You know what?
But also, my iWatch just told me it's time to go to bed. So we're gonna roll that beautiful bean footage, and we will see you guys next week, and when we will be talking all things the new season of Lower Decks.
Here we go. 3, 2.
That's the circling.
And that's the most we'll get in Lower Decks. They're just gonna circle around these days.
I'd be perfectly fine with that.
Oh, I was about to say, like, I would literally be okay with that because one of my favorite
no.
sequences in the motion picture is that money shot of the Enterprise.
Yeah, with that ugly Voyager from the scrapyard just circling around in the background with the little stick at the bottom of it. Anyway, that's beside the point. Bye.
Whoa.
Now, again, I'm going to say this again because we're near the end of our show. If you are our allies, we are not talking to you. We are not talking to you. This does not... Okay? We're not talking to you. Stop trying to take our and make it your god business. It ain't got nothing to do with you. It ain't got nothing to do with you.
Our experience of grief independently.
Bruh.
Yes.
I love that they're in the comments.
So much is like I'm just reading the comments.
Yeah. They should have brought their child out. That's such a good point, Will. God, that's such a good point. And he's really thought about it too. You should be here. William, get over here.
I thought he had a girlfriend on Insta. It's been ages since I've mucked about, but
Okay, moving on. Let's move on.
yeah, we gotta move on.